Hi everybody, Laura here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've got a fun project to share with you using some products from the latest Cheering for You release with Simon Says Stamp. I'm going to start with this Monstera layering stencil set. Now I googled how to pronounce this, so I got two different answers. One was Monstera and one was Monstera. I'm going with Monstera. Monstera, potato. Okay, so this Monstera layering stencil set has 4 stencils in the set. The stencils are size 4¼ by 5½, which is the size of panel that I have here of Hammermill white cardstock. See, that's 4¼ by 5½. And you could just measure it, you could just line it up straight, but I decided to kind of cock it on an angle. And that is how you keep it fresh. But you could do it anyway. A lot of different ways you could do this Monstera big jumbo leaf. I'm using some Post-it tape, kind of masking around the edges so I don't get ink where I don't want it to go. I'm going to start. So this is going to be like a tri-colored gradient leaf. I'm starting with Celery. I'm going to be using all Pawsitively saturated inks by Simon Says Stamp. I have them in the handy dandy ink holder. And then I'm using Simon Says Stamp large blender brushes. So I do the top little third with Celery, and then in the middle I'm doing SEAFOAM. So I'm going to be using all 3 shades in these color families. So Celery, LIMELICIOUS, and PEARFECTION. Here we have SEAFOAM, Surf, I think it's Ocean. And then for the bottom we have Marine, and the middle tone is Cadette, and the darkest blue is Royal. And so we're going to use all those color, there's 3 tones in each color family with the Pawsitively saturated inks. And at any time really you could stop blending. So they're not really numbered, but I did the first one here, and you really could stop right there. I wasn't exactly sure how to line up the next one, so I used the first stencil and I just kind of, stacked them, like lined them up, and then I took off that first stencil, and that way I know that I have that second stencil lined up. Maybe there's an easier way to do this. I wasn't sure, so I just did the old redneck method. And now here I'm going same colors, Celery again, but I'm going a little bit heavier handed, a little more elbow grease. I do have a piece of scratch paper over on the right. Sometimes when I ink up, I kind of tap off over there, but since I'm wanting to go really heavy as I can with that Celery, I'm not really tapping off. Here we have that SEAFOAM again, but I'm just trying to blend it a little bit darker so you get just a little bit of contrast, but not too much. We want to build it up subtly. And I am trying to get a nice seamless transition between these 3 different color families, the green, aqua, and the blue. Down here we've got that marine again. And my blender brushes, sometimes, if I had been previously blending with a darker color, you might get a little bit of that in there. So you never know, depending on what you blended before. I don't clean my brushes. Too lazy for that. So that is the second stencil, and I really love how that looks right there. It's almost tempted to stop, but I wanted to see this through to see all the different color tones. So here we have LIMELICIOUS. This is the medium shade in that green color family. Still using the same green blender brush. I'm just getting darker. And these, so there's 4 stencils, and this is like the third. I don't think they're numbered, but whatever the case. And then we got Surf for that middle tone. It's a darker shade after SEAFOAM. And also, sometimes with a stencil, they can be a little bit intricate with the way, like if you're an aggressive blender like me, I kind of go from the out and push in rather than do a hardy circular blend, because that can shift and shimmy that Monstera leaf, parts of it. So sometimes you have to like blend in the direction, like go with the grain instead of a circular motion. Look at how this looks. I mean, it's beautiful. Now I want to do like a warm tone one with orange, reds, and yellows. I did think about doing a rainbow, but it would have been kind of hard to fit all those colors in, but I'm not against it. Here we have the darkest shade, PEARFECTION. Still using those same blender brushes. But see, now I'm getting that dark green on my brush. And usually what I do is just go off on scratch paper and kind of, brush it off. or maybe I don't. And then the next time I go to blend, I forget that I have dark green ink on there. And that's the way she rolls. Here we have Ocean, that darkest shade in that tealy aqua family, getting a nice seamless blend between Ocean and Perfection. See how I'm kind of blending with the grain, not really going in circular motion. And then down on the bottom, bringing in that Royal. Now I'll tell you what, Royal, she'll slap you in the face, right? She will wake you up. Very juicy, very vibrant. Love it. Love it, love it, love it with this Monstera leaf. Here we are, final reveal. Love how it looks, cropped kind of on an angle off to the side. I am going to trim this panel down. I'm going to start with a 1/4 inch on each side. I don't want to cut where the white is. I want to cut into the leaf. That gives it that more croppy look. So I start with a 1/4 inch, and then I end up going an additional 1/4 inch. So basically I trimmed off a 1/2 inch on the bottom and the left side. And I'm using the Comfort Guillotine Tim Holtz Tonic Trimmer. And the reason I love to trim it is because I love a nice border. I decided, I don't know, why not? I don't do it all the time, but when I do it, I like to do it, flick it up. I'm pulling out some white, what do you call this? White ink. It's titanium white ink, a wet brush, and I just flicked on some white. I almost thought about flicking gold, or you could flick some aqua or green or colors that are in the leaf. I went with white. Now for a sentiment, I'm using the new CZ U die, doing vellum for the backer, matte gold for the word die. This is my classic recipe. I love a vellum and a matte gold. I am popping up the matte gold onto the vellum. You know why? Because dimension is life. Now this one I'm really doing dimension. I've been reining it in lately, but I've missed it. And sometimes you just need some dimension. I'm going to stamp a little sub-sentiment under that U using the CZ U sentiment set. A lot of sub-sentiments that can go with U. I'm going to use the one that says are my favorite. Tons to choose from. You could emboss this in white on a little strip of black. I thought about that. I ended up just going with stamping it with VersaFine Onyx Black ink and just stamp it right onto this blended, flicked up panel. I stamp it twice to make it nice. I use some, this is kind of thinner foam tape. This is the Big Mama Roll by Simon Says Stamp, and I popped it up on a fog card base. More foam tape behind the vellum, and I'm popping up the U. Added a few little clear sequins in 3 different sizes, using Barely Art glue and that place and score wand. This card is finished. You are my favorite. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. You're my favorite. You are. Make sure and check out the Cheering You On release over at Simon Says Stamp. There is a ton of amazing inspiration, and check out the blog hop. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.